Shanghai, China's most populous city and commercial hub, has been in a strict lockdown for about a month. Residents are only allowed to leave their homes in a few parts of the city. And while the port has been in operation, many exports are not leaving Shanghai because port workers and truck drivers who transport the goods to and from the port are also affected by this lockdown. Now, right now, about a third of the 1,800 container ships stuck in the world are in or around Shanghai. The city's hard lockdown is affecting global supply chains, and many companies which produce in China haven't been getting their goods and parts for nearly 3 weeks. Meanwhile, there's a plan underway to isolate dock workers in an attempt to keep the Shanghai port operational. Well, for more now, we go to our resident China correspondent, Clifford Coonan. Thanks for being with us. So, Clifford, what impact do we expect the lockdowns in China to have on economic growth?
Well, it's hitting, these lockdowns in Shanghai and in the other cities are hitting real estate, exports, retail sales, causing disruptions that are, as we've just seen, echoing through the global supply chain. If you consider half of Apple's top 200 suppliers are affected by this. So it's having a huge impact. If you add to this the disastrous state of the property sector, which is heavily indebted, and the problems that we've seen there earlier this year and late last year haven't gone away, and that's dragging on growth. And then also the impact of China's backing for Russia's invasion of the Ukraine, which is kind of isolating China internationally in a way. So it's causing some serious economic headwinds for China.
For sure. I mean, well, let's talk about the long-term implications here. What are we likely to see in terms of implications of this zero-COVID hard lockdown policy?
Well, one thing that was interesting today, there were reports from within the Politburo that basically there's division over this, and that Xi Jinping, who's a very much a strongman leader, has faced opposition from Liu He, who's his economic advisor. So it's having these could be interesting to watch, certainly. But if you also looked at locals in Shanghai and also now in Beijing, apparently, they're having their passports gathered up. They don't want people leaving. And one thing that people are speculating is that because the lockdown has been so harsh, that it could lead to people leaving China. And the flip side of that as well is that it makes it more difficult to lure people into China. So foreign experts, expat managers are all needed to keep the China growth story going. And they're not going to be attracted if they're under so much pressure.
Right. Well, tell me, why does China continue to follow this hardline zero-COVID policy, considering the harsh consequences that we're talking about here?
Well, there's one of the main reasons is the fact that the health system is not as developed yet as other areas of the economy. So they're worried about the low vaccination rate. The Chinese vaccines don't have the same efficacy as a lot of the Western mRNA vaccines, for example. So they're a little bit worried. They're worried that the health system could be overwhelmed, which is one element. There's also a political element to this, which is that Xi Jinping has said that this is what's going to happen and what he says goes. So that can't be underestimated because he needs to keep that image. And also, there's a geopolitical element to this as well, because Xi Jinping has, and Chinese have sort of said how their model works and the Western model doesn't work. And if their model doesn't work and we see recovery in the West, that could have serious consequences for China's image. So we're seeing a lot of these sort of economic and political things meshing and painting a challenging picture as we go forward with the Chinese economy.
Our China analyst, Clifford Coonan, thank you so much.